So hello and welcome back to the Champ.ie podcast. Vince, the Vincinator, is on Irish soil. It's his first vacation, I'd say, in about 2 years, Mr. Vince. So I'm in the hot seat. You've let me back in, Mike. And I'm joined by Davy Boland from Racing's Inside Track TV. Once again, Davy, the Golden Groome. Mr. Ronan Groome was out on the town in Dublin. And who else do we have? Thomas Coyle, forgot about you. Top left, the original is back on the scene. We're going to start, lads, with Wincanton. We have an interview coming up as well with Olly Muphy, who is going to talk about his runners this weekend and horses coming up for the season. But we're going to kick it off at 3 o'clock and preview the Badger Beers, the listed chase over 3 miles and 1 furlong. I'll give you a quick show of betting. Highland Hunter for Paul Nicholls. Davy Boland, you were over in Nichols's 2 weeks ago, so you might be able to give us a bit of information on the favourite here. Highland Hunter 5-1, Hurricane Harvey for Fergal O'Brien, Paddy Brennan 6-1 chance has come in for a bit of support. Captain Ord 7-1, Irish Prophecy, who was a winner at this course 2 weeks ago, come in for support also here at 7-1. El Presente, last year's winner, at 8-1. Some Chaos 8-1, Cover the Mai 10-1, Potterman 10-1, Coupe de Princau 14-1, Double Shuffle 14-1, and it is 16-1. The rest. Golden Groome, take it away.
Yeah, it's a good race, Barry. Always like the Badger Beers. It's like one of the big handicap chases that kind of kicks us off to start the year. And yeah, I think there's one lurking here. I'll just go through the top of the market first. The likes of Captain Ord, Highland Hunter, you mentioned there. Like, they're all fair enough. They got good enough form in big handicap chases. Highland Hunter's an exposed horse, so you can see why there's money for him. But a lot of his form is over a bit further than this. I'm just thinking, is there something down the line that might be in Nichols's mind for him, like the likes of Trucker's Lodge there as well? You know, he's probably just starting off here with the likes of the Welsh National and that coming up. And this is often a race, I think, that you can still get the summer horses are still coming good in. And I actually think the one that is overpriced here is last year's winner, Potterman. Now, he won this off £6 lower last year. He beat El Presente, who also takes a chance. I give him a chance as well, but just at the prices, I like Potterman a bit more. Everyone knows, like, he won the Bet365 Gold Cup, controversially, I guess, at Sandown. But that's still very good form, whatever way you weigh it up. And Alan King's horses are absolutely flying lately. I think he's had about 8 or 9 winners. You know, it's interesting, he has just come here straight away, whereas last year he came into the race off a couple of runs and was in good form. But you'd have to that Alan King has had this race in mind for him for a while to come back here. He's only £6 higher when you consider he's won a big handicap chase like that Sandown race in between. I think that's pretty fair. He liked the ground, he likes the track, obviously. So around 10-1, Potterman, I thought was actually probably one of the good bets of the weekend.
Interesting, Ron. I thought Irish Prophecy done it well over course and distance for Emma Lavelle. He's gone up about £7. He was probably the one that I fancied at the head of towards the front of the market. Hurricane Harvey is probably short enough, I think, at 6-1, and hasn't really proven himself on better conditions. So good ground. It might be a slight worry for Hurricane Harvey for me. The one I liked in here was Cobre de Mai. Now he has come in for a bit of early support. There's plenty of racing. You know, the thing I suppose that stuck out to me about him is, you know, he's dropped about 15 pounds in the weights since his festival sixth. He finished 6th at the Cheltenham Festival, ran a good race. I thought he was an eye catcher. Kind of fell out of form last season, but he's dropped 15 pounds and transferred stables to Caroline Bailey. So 2 encouraging runs this season so far suggests maybe there is some spark still. And I kind of like the look of his chances in here. He's been in this race before, was pulled up when last seen running at Wincanton prior to this season. So maybe a slight negative on the course front, but I think maybe he has more to give and since the switch is stable. So Cobre de Mai for me. Lads, any fancies in this? Davy?
Not. I don't have a huge opinion on the race, but I was in over Christian Williams a couple of weeks ago, and Captain Nord said it's in very good form. He was happy that he's had a run, and this race has been in mind for quite a while. So if I was to have a bet, I'd back him, because he did say he's in very good form and he was always going to improve for having the run.
Interesting. So Ronan Groome, final selection, Badger Beers.
Yeah, I just like Potterman. I think he's rock solid. He won the race last year, £6 higher. And I just thought he should be shorter than some of the horses up the front there. You mentioned Hurricane Harvey. I mean, he won the worst grade 2, what's turned out to be one of the worst grade 2s I've ever seen there, Haydock last year, and he's ahead of him in the market. I just can't have that with the course and distance form. So I could see him easily going off half the price he is now. He's 10-1 freely available, so that'll do for me.
Yeah, I like Irish Prophecy, but I'll just come down on the side of Cobra de Mai. There is 12-1 each way available. And Davy, you're going with the Christian Williams horse?
Yeah, I'll go with him. I like Irish Prophecy as well, simply because of the course form. But yeah, we'll stick with
Great
Christian
stuff.
first.
Great stuff, lads. Thomas Coyle, going to come to you on the 3:35 at Wincanton, which is the elite hurdle. Quick show of the betting. Score Royal 6-5 for Alan King. What a trooper he is. Goshen hasn't been seen since last season. 2-1 chance for the Moors. Belfast Banter, a bit of an Irish contingent here. Belfast Banter looks like he's going to take his chance for Pierre Fahy at 6-1. Christopher Wood 10-1. And Norman Lee's Sole Pretender, a very interesting runner with Harry Cobden, booked for the ride. Last seen when running in the Galway Hurl, to my knowledge. Ficani 14-1 and Hatcher is a 33-1 chance. Thomas Coyle, 2 Irish raiders for this one. Can they get involved?
Yeah, definitely. 2 likeable horses. We all know Belfast Banter had a great spring last year, winning Cheltenham in the County Hurdle and going on and winning his novice grade 1 in Aintree. Kind of the 2 Irish horses, they both ran the Galway Hurdle, and it kind of went wrong for both. I think Belfast Banter, the third last, made a mistake, and Kevin Sexton lost his stirrups. Now, didn't cost him the race, or anything, probably. And Sole Pretender just didn't get away the way he usually does. He likes to kind of front run and dictate things, and probably didn't happen. Yeah, look, they've got chances. Belfast Banter had a run in the Listowel Festival. He fell at the last. He actually, if you watch back the race, he travelled probably the best into the home straight. Probably just getting a little bit tired when he had the fall, but you'd imagine if the fall took nothing out of him, it should leave him fairly right for a run like this. Just on Sole Pretender as well, Norman Lee he's one of the nicest men in racing. I don't know if the boys have met him or know him. He's an absolute gent. I actually done the trainer's course with him, and anytime you meet him at the race, he'd be the first lad to come up and have a chat with you and see how things are going. And this is a very good horse. He's won 7 of his 12 races in National Hunt Rules, and the only flops he has is like twice at the Galway Festival. And he was 4th in the maiden hurdle around Navan, and maybe I think he was 5th maybe in Punchestown as well. But the horse he knows where the winning line is. Good ground seems key, which look they're going to get this week. So does he want a little bit further than 2 miles? Maybe, considering he ran him in the Stayers hurdle in Punchestown at the Punchestown Festival, so he might want a bit further. But look, the horse knows how to win. He has now. Look, the English Raiders, well, not Raiders, but they're good horses. As you say, So Royal, he's a likeable horse. Probably just isn't at the very top table. Went chasing for a while. But look, he's the benefit of a run. He beat Silver Streak in Kempton the last day. I've Goshen written down here, and there's more holes in him than there is in the dartboard at the minute. Sometimes, like at Wincanton before the Cheltenham Festival, everyone was saying he was back. He ran the strangest race at the Cheltenham Festival. He ran okay in Punchestown, I suppose. Look, he was well bet in the end, but I don't know. Since last year, I don't know. I just haven't warmed to him, and I don't think he's going to be at the top table again at 2 miles. So unless he really likes Wincanton like he did the last day and bolts up again, but the only thing he has going for him is I think Gary Moore's horses are running well at the minute. I think he's nearly at a 33% strike rate or something at the minute. So the yard's in form. So as I'd say, maybe Soul Pretender is a bit more valued than the rest of them, you know. So he might be even each way. I know probably it's only 1-2 with 7 runners, but look, I give him a squeak, and hopefully Norman Lee can have a big day.
Yeah, 20%, 27% strike rate, Gary Moore, at the moment. But just to kind of maybe to stay on the Irish horses for the moment, Davy, I thought this Soul Pretender was an interesting runner here. You know, if you look at, I suppose, if you look at the official ratings, he's only is £7 off the Score Royal. He's receiving, you know, £2 from him on the day. He runs well fresh. He's proven on good ground, and ran well when seen last in a competitive Galway hurdle. What's not to like?
Yeah, I like this horse, Barry. It's interesting. He has a rating of 150 here and 151 in England, whereas Belfast Banter is 144 here and 149 in the UK. They're not going over for nothing either now, Barry. Now, obviously, they might see this as an easier way of winning a nice pot than taking on what we have here with the likes of the Morgiana and the Hatton's Grace in those races. But I suppose probably cost 4 or 5 grand to get a horse over for this race. So they must fancy their chances. But I like Soul Pretender. He's only beaten 7 lengths or 7.5 lengths by Saldier in the Galway hurdle. And we all know how competitive a race it is. He's lightly raced. I'd say this sort of race will suit him. Gary Moore's horse will probably go off like he always does. That might set it up for So Royal. The only thing is with him, I know he is a good horse now, but jeez, he's awful soft. He is. He wants everything to go his own way. He is a bit of a bridle horse. But now, like I said, Moore's horse might set it up for him that way. But if, like what Tom said, if I was to have a bet, I'd back Soul Pretender. You know, I like this horse. It was a good run in Galway. You know, I'd fancy him, especially at his price. I think he's 10-1, is it?
Yeah, 10-1. I agree with you, lads. I think he has a bit of value here. And you talk about Goshen.
Just your man, Goshen could do anything. You know, I wouldn't back him if he was racing one of my ponies out in the field. And so Royal's soft old devil as well. So I go with Soul Pretender at a big price.
I do have a bit of a soft spot for Goshen. Ronan Groome, you know this, but my theory on Goshen is he needs it soft. I mean, good ground. When was the last time Goshen won on good ground? I don't know. I know the last time he won at Wincanton, he won by 22 lengths.
I tend to agree with you, Barry. And I think he got kind of, soft ground, I think, could be important to him, Barry. I tend to agree with you. And I think he got shown up at Punchestown last year for what he is. I think the Cheltenham run, you can kind of say, was just weird. He was hanging out and he needs to go right-handed. But I think his run at Punchestown I think that's as good as he is. And it's really interesting. I actually really like Soul Pretender as well at the prices. I think 10-1 is overestimated.
That doesn't happen often, lads.
Aye. But like, you look at it there, and the lads make really good points about the ratings. So he's only getting in Ireland. You see the run in the Galway hurdle and the run against Durasso. Like Durasso was running up the finishing second to Saldia next time out as well. He's rock solid kind of rating over hurdles as well. Like they're not top grade in Ireland, but they can definitely be competitive over in these grade 2s. And like, you're just picking holes in Goshen there, like we all are. So Royale, I agree with what Davey's saying. Like he kind of is the same kind of Alan King's thinking the same this time of year, trying to mop up these hurdle races that are quite soft. And you know, I'd really, really like Soul Pretender here if he could get out in front, but I'm not sure he will get his own way in front with the likes of Goshen there and Fergal O'Brien's horse, Tikini, likes to go off in front as well. But at 10-1, or if you could get 10-1, I think he's maybe 8s or 9s around the board. So I'd easily take a go with him. Like £1 extra, whereas Belfast Banter's getting a lot more. I'm guessing the handicapper's looking at Milkwood's running the Galway hurdle and maybe rating it around that, but that's just one horse, and he's getting £2 from the top two as well. There's not much in it, so to have the top two 11 to 8, 9 to 4, so you're looking at an odds-on shot there between the two of them against Sole Pretender when you're getting 8 to 1. That seems like a decent price to me.
Jesus, we're all agreeing on a 10 to 1 chance in the elite hurdle. The national hunt season is back. Sole Pretender, 10 to 1, a mutual selection. For the elite, excuse me, still effects of the stag party. Ronan Groome. The 2:15 at Aintree, lads. The Grand Sefton. We've gone from good ground here to soft ground at Aintree. I'll give you a show of the betting. 9 to 2 Giant Favs, Cat Tiger, Time to Get Up. Senior Citizen won last time out. For Alan King, 6 to 1 chance. Hogan's Height, 8 to 1. Spyglass Hill for Henry de Bromhead. And Hugh Morgan, an 8 to 1 chance. Thomas McDonough, 8 to 1. 5-Star Getaway is a 12 to 1 chance. Frankie de Burley, 12 to 1. Sir Jack Yates, 12 to 1. The West Awake, another Irish raider for Eddie O'Grady. Mac Toddy, 20 to 1. The rest. Right, who wants it? Ronan Groome, will stick with you.
Yeah, I'd like two here, Barry. Just quickly go through the top few in the market. I guess I could see Cat Tiger. He ran well enough over the entry fences there back in April for David Maxwell. See why he's there. Time to Get Up, obviously, very lightly raced chaser, won the Midlands. Might won a bit further than this, you'd suggest. And Senior Citizen obviously won last time out well at Mark Raisin. Has got good form over the course. I can see why all of them are top of the market, but I like two and a bit bigger. Hogan's Height won this race 2 years ago, and he's come into this race with the exact same preparation again, a little run over hurdles, and now he's only £4 higher than he was 2 years ago. They tried to make him into a national horse last season. I think they missed the start of the season and they kind of messed around, went to the cross country, ran okay in the national. They just gave way, just didn't stay the trip, the 4-2 there. So they've basically gone back to revert to the type from 2 seasons ago, run over hurdles at Newton Abbott and come back here only £4 higher. Now, if you watch him win this race 2 years ago, he won easy, won by 16 lengths. So he's got the course and distance know-how, and he's only £4 higher, and he's probably been training for this race. So I thought around 9 to 1, that was fair enough. The other one I did like as well was a horse for Richard Spencer's there, and a lot of Irish form students, I guess, would know it. Sir Jack Yates used to be with Elmarie Holden. Now he's well exposed in that, but if you go back and look at his run against Live, Love, Laugh in the Topham, he was the only horse to really go with Live, Love, Laugh. Now, I say go, he was good second to him most of the way. But if you look at all the horses that finished ahead of him, they all came from much further back. So I think he paid a fair price for trying to live up with Live, Love, Laugh and just kind of got tired in the end. So I could see him running a big race. He's actually £5 lower now. You know that he handles the course and distance. And I actually think that fifth can be marked up quite a lot. So Jack Yates there, I think he can get around 12 to 1 mark as well. He really interests me as well. So I'll take those two in the Grand Sefton.
Thomas Coyle, we were talking about trainers' strike rates. John Joe O'Neill is going quite well. He's 7 wins out of the last 36. That's a 19% strike rate. And Soaring Glory was a Saturday winner for him last weekend. Time to Get Up. I thought this horse is quite interesting. Won the Midlands National last year. He's off a mark of 144. Will they be protecting that maybe for later in the season?
Well, the only thing you'd have to say is that you would imagine that this trip is going to be a bit sharp from considering he won over 4 mile 2, and he won the chase before that. It was 3 mile 1 on heavy ground. You have to remember this horse chased home Monkfish in a maiden hurdle for Joseph O'Brien, so he's no mug really. Very lightly raced, but I could imagine it might be just a trip a little bit too short. I like Senior Citizen in this. He's the benefit of a run. He's up £5 for that win the last day. But he's good battle-hardened horse in these kind of handicaps. He was third in the Topham. He was fourth in a Greatwood Gold Cup as well. He knows they're all 2.5 mile, 2.5. He knows the ins and outs of handicaps like this. Just on the Irish front, Spyglass Hill, he probably didn't get home over 3 mile in the Munster National. Led for a long way. just faltered coming down to the second last. So this step back and trip will suit him. He has a lot of weight. Where Hugh Morgan is taking 3 off as well, which will help. But maybe a lot of weight. Cat Tiger, another one of the favourites. He's third in the Fox Hunters in Aintree, which is over this trip as well. David Maxwell has been riding him the whole time. He's a 3-time hurdle winner over 2.5 miles. So look, he's battle hardened as well. I'm sure he'll give David Maxwell a good spin and might get another few one-liners off him if he did win. He usually good for 1 or 2 of them. But yeah, look, I like Senior Citizen. But the horse really to be watching out of it is John Joe's, and he'd be the horse that'll be taken out of it to go forward and see what he can do.
Yeah, I have to say, I've no real fancy in the race, lads, in this one, but I am looking forward to seeing this lad over the entry fences with a view to later on in the season. Davy Boland, the Irish Angle, Spyglass Hill, and the West Awake. Which of them would you be going for, and what's your selection?
I keep it simple for you, Barry. I won't waste time. Senior Citizen. He was very good the last day in Market Raising, and I go with him simply because he has good form around the track, and I think that's very important when you're jumping these fences.
Slightly broke up on me there, Dave. But lads, we're going to come on to the 320 at Aintree, which is the Betway hurdle. And Olly Murphy trains Brewing Up a Storm, and I suppose that's a fitting time to probably bring in the interview now from Olly Murphy, where he speaks about Brewing Up a Storm and some of his horses in the stable that he's looking forward to this season. I suppose a couple of recent winners, maybe ones that did stick out. But the first horse I wanted to talk to you about, Olly, is Brewing Up a Storm, who runs, of course, at Aintree on Saturday. He's kind of found his discipline, has he, back over hurdles around the 2.5 mile mark. How is he, first of all? And is that the key to him this season?
Yeah, he's been good at entries for the Doyle hurdle. Yeah, and he's for the start of Aintree on Saturday. Obviously a 50 gram kind of condition. He's got a dirty penalty, which isn't going to make life easy for him, but he's in very good form, and I'm really looking forward to running him.
Absolutely. And did you ever envisage, I suppose, when you first got him, that hurdling would be his game? Or he always looked like a chaser long term, didn't he?
Yeah, no, he did. He's the season. He's got a massive great horse now, and albeit he jumped hurdles jumped fences well early on in his career. He got terrible fright now in Cheltenham, and that just paid dividends to come back over hurdles. And it's taken a while to get his confidence back. And yeah, he's in good form, and he's a very good horse this day whenever it goes right.
Yeah, and fresh. He tends to go well fresh as well, Olly.
Yeah, he does. So listen, that's a big plus going into tomorrow. He's a very talented horse this day whenever it goes right for him, and I'm looking forward to running him and hopefully he can win a good race again this year.
Yeah, confident ahead of the weekend.
Yeah, it's not easy having a 6 pound penalty first run of the year, but he probably deserves that of his total form last year, and he's hopefully the one they've all got to beat if he gets into a rhythm.
A couple more to mention, just maybe updates for Aintree. The World's End runs, how's he?
Yeah, he's in good form. Obviously, very easy for him at the moment. He's second time up in the race. Obviously, a former Grade 1 winner who's not getting any younger. But he's in good form. We revert back to hurdles after going hunter chasing didn't work out. And I'm looking forward to running him again. He's a horse who's pretty good fresh, and he's a horse who's very close to McNeil's heart to run him.
Gunsight Ridge is always one you've liked.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to running him now. He had a little setback for a week, so he just might need his run, but his jumping is very good. I've always thought he was going to be a chaser, and I think he's got quite an attractive mark if he doesn't need his run. He's obviously got to be on the ball tomorrow, first run the handicap, and first run over fences, but yeah, I'm looking forward to running him now, and he's the horse. I'd be very disappointed if he didn't end up an awful lot higher than he's running off tomorrow.
Yeah, one that impressed me, Olly, when winning his bumper was the full blooder to Ribble Valley, Bombs Away. Now he's entered to go, I think he's a couple of entries, one on Sandown on Sunday. Is that the plan?
Sandown Sunday. He was far too keen when he ran this bumper. Always showed me plenty at home. He's got very good pedigree. Jumps good. I think he's a horse you're going to hear a lot more about. Wouldn't surprise me if he got beat on Sunday for a lack of experience, but yeah, he's a horse with a lot of ability, and I'm looking forward to starting him off.
He's pacey, is he?
Yeah, he's got plenty of toe. He'll be well suited to Sandown all the same. Just hopefully might just get back in his hops with a nice start up the hill for the first time. Get him to relax, but if he relaxes and gets into rhythm, he's going to run very well.
Would you be hopeful he could take high rank amongst the British novice hurdlers this season?
I like him now. For a horse who was very keen in his bumper, I was very surprised at how well he stayed going, and it took Aiden a long time to pull him up then. He's a horse who's got a lot of ability. He jumps good. He's got good pedigree, and yeah, he ticks plenty of boxes.
Good stuff. Just, I suppose, going back on a couple of the winners so far this season, one that caught my eye was Duke of Rockingham at Utoxeter. He was a horse I believe you liked last year, Olly, but how far can he go this season?
Yeah, he's a lovely big horse. Obviously, there's plenty of money for him now when he won his bump. He showed me plenty last year, and he came back from Newbury all wrong, and he put that race behind him now and winning decisively in Utoxeter last week, and he's going to jump the hurdle straight away. And again, another novice hurdler I like. Hopefully it's the division which I've got a pretty strong hand in.
Yeah, absolutely. One that's I have to ask you about it. This horse is intriguing. He's quite lightly raced, Olly, and I want to know, I suppose, how he is first of all. But what type of route are you going to take with Copperless this season?
Yeah, he's going to stay over 2 miles now. Depending on the street, he's got a small strength factor in his pelvis, but he's not to be seen until the spring. I'd imagine all being well, he's going to go straight for county hurdle. Frustrating, but yeah, he missed a couple of engagements recently, and he's just got to be caught on the sidelines for a couple of months. It's nothing serious now, but yeah, he's certainly going to be racing again this season, all being well, but he's not going to be seen this side of Christmas.
Okay, that's unfortunate, Olly. He was one I was looking forward to seeing this season. Alvina, I know you like her. How's she?
Yeah, she's a good man. She came back to me later than the rest of them, so she's still probably a month off seeing a racetrack, but she's going to go jumping fences. Jumps great. With Gallup, like, she could be a good mare, and I'm really looking forward to testing those good mares races with her.
What's the plan with Dr. Ken? Ran a solid enough race. Were you disappointed he didn't get more involved at Aintree?
I wasn't so raw to jump. I think he's going to improve a huge amount for a run. He'll run the maiden hurdle again in a fortnight, 3 weeks' time, and whatever he does this year will be a bonus. He's a massive, great horse who's going to be a lovely chaser of time.
Staying hurdles as the season goes on, is that the likely route with him?
Sorry, say that again, Barry.
Staying hurdles as the season goes on, is that the likely route with him? He's always said he's at home. He's very, very likable, and he's a horse that I like a lot. Olly, for the Champ.ie listeners, one horse maybe that we haven't mentioned, maybe to watch out for, to put in the trackers for the rest of the season, what would it be?
I think 2 horses you haven't mentioned. 2 is Coyle Davy and Washington. Both won their maiden hurdle first come out.
Sorry, Olly, say them again. Okay.
Both won their maiden hurdle first come out. Washington then went with the premium hurdle trial itself, and now in 10 days' time, he shows me a lot at home. And maybe one, I'm just trying to think of one there that I haven't mentioned. There's a filly there called Chosen Port. I couldn't believe she never won a bump last year. She was paid 3 bumps for Nolan Valerie Moore, and jumped very well. Could be a nice mare to go novice hurdling with this season.
Olly, absolute pleasure. Keep up the good run. Enjoy the Warwick races, and thanks very much for your time.
Absolute pleasure. See you later. Thanks very much.
Olly, thanks very much. All right. So brilliant to hear from Olly Murphy. 3:20 at Aintree, Betway hurdle, over 2.5 miles. It's a Class 2, brewing up a storm. 15 to 8 summer. Villeboy, the old Supreme Novices Hurdle winner. For Tom George, 9-year-old now, 3-1. Wild About Oscar is a 7-2 chance. If the Cap Fits has come in for support for Harry Fry and Sean Bunn, also a 9-year-old, 8-1. Lisnagar Oscar, a Stayers winner at 8-1. Martello Sky is 10-1. Ronan Groome, some old flames in here.
Yeah, it's one of those 2.5 mile races where you're kind of stuck with horses that are once chasers, come back hurdlers, and kind of horses stuck between the two distances, really. So it's interesting in its own right, but I think Brewing Up a Storm is pretty solid, despite the fact that he has to give weight away around here. Like if you look at last year, they came back over hurdles, and which is always probably a good test of a horse. Probably two lads will tell you more what actually when you've been chasing and then to come back over hurdles, it's a different discipline altogether, a different way of jumping. Obviously, two lads might be able to tell you a bit more. But easy at Taunton, and then he beat McFabulous, who I know you were a fan of, Barry, last year. He beat him real easy at Fontwell there in the national hurdle, I think it was. And I actually think he actually ran a bit better than his finishing position suggested in Aintree. He was 5th to Abacadabras there. That was a stop-start race, and it just didn't help his jumping. He was a bit fiddly over a few, and he just couldn't get himself into the race. I think he needs a bit more strongly run, and he might get that here. For all that, I think he's actually the best horse in this race and can give weight away. And Olly Murphy, like just heard from him there, but his horses are in such good form. He's up to 38% now as of today, Thursday. This is so just 38% strike rate over the last 2 weeks. So just walloping them in. So I fancy Bringing Up Storm to give weight here. Somerville Boy is always a horse that I've been a fan of. I backed him to win the Supreme that year, and probably just hasn't got up to the heights that they thought he might. But 2.5 miles, and he's won on his last 2 seasonal debuts. So if you're a fan of Somerville Boy, I wouldn't be put off by the fact that he's running here first time out. And if the Cap Fits, I'll give another mention too as well. Although I read a piece from Harry Fry's Exchange hurdle at Haydock is his ultimate target. So we might just be in here for a little spin, pipe opener for that race, and not to ruin his mark or anything. But I think if you're looking for the winner, Brewing Up a Storm, first time up here for Olly Murphy will do.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ron. I think he's great value. I don't think you're going to see anything near 2-1 on the day. You spoke about discipline. He's found his discipline. 2.5 miles over hurdles. He's had a wind up, so it obviously is his first run back after the wind up. But he's still quite lightly raced over. He's only had 8 runs over hurdles, so I think there's plenty of winning left in Brewing Up a Storm. I think they found the key to it. He put a sequence of wins together over 2.5 miles over hurdles. I think soft ground isn't going to be a problem to him. Actually, in fact, I think it might help him. So yeah, there's plenty of horses in here that are probably on the downward slope. If the Cap Fits was one that I was mad about for a Stayers hurdle once upon a time, that never materialised. He is a nice horse, but I can't see any of them getting near Brewing Up a Storm. Davy, would you concur?
Yeah, I like Brewing Up a Storm. Well, I used to like him anyway, but I always thought he was very disappointing. I thought he had a lot more potential. Don't get me wrong, he is a good horse, but I take a chance in Somerville Boy just getting that £5. Like he's well in on £5 with Brewing Up a Storm. I take a chance on him. Like Ronan had said, he does always run well, fresh. This sort of track as well suit him. I'll take a chance on him, but I wouldn't be surprised if Brewing Up a Storm does win. Like you mentioned, Ollie's horses are absolutely motoring there. Every day you look at the results, himself and Aidan are on the score sheet. But I'll take a chance on Somerville Boy to beat Brewing Up a Storm just because of the weights.
Tommy Coyle, what's the view from Batterstown?
Yeah, it's like you would agree with Brewing Up a Storm, but like it's not a great race. Like you wouldn't have too many people going to Navan to watch a race like this. Like there's no standout horse, or I would like definitely not a betting race for me. As you say, Olly Murphy's flying and his yard is in great form. just like the skeletons as well, actually, like very unlucky Chamblue last week. So their horses are going well as well. Like all them, if you actually look, just clicking through, all them top trainers are working at about 20% strike rate, which is phenomenal for like 5, 6, 7 people to be hitting that kind of strike rate and within 2 weeks. So look, the horses are going, obviously the racing is a little bit less competitive over here and it's every day, but like to be going at 1 in 5 is a fair going. So look, I wild about Oscar, just on stable form, and they've had their horses for big handicaps like Chamblue last week. The horses are firing, so he might be at 7-2, but for me, I wouldn't be backing in this race.
Thomas, you might be a little bit more comfortable as we come back to Naas. The Brown Lad Handicap Hurdle. Give us the winner of this. It's the 155 at Naas. Jesus, I'm stuck with a Nokia here ever since the stag. Anyway, you can probably hear it going off here. Davy Boland, why are you texting me in the middle of this? 155. Yielding ground at Naas.
Because I tell you, it's just do something at the end. It'd be interesting.
I haven't read it yet. 2.5 miles. Brown Lad Handicap Hurdle, Grade B. A quick show of the betting, because there is betting to my knowledge. 4-1 Jiving Jerry for James Barco. Damalisk for Eddie and Patrick Hardy, 5-1. Minx Tiara, 5-1. Jackson Gold, 15-2. Lord Escreen is a 10-1 chance. Espinito Bello, 14-1. And Morosini, 14-1. 16-1 the rest. Thomas Coyle, have you picked the winner of this?
Well, it might be an each way pick now because you haven't mentioned him in the betting. I like a horse called Panda Boy. He won first time out for Martin Brazel. He was then campaigned in a good handicap in Fairyhouse, and I'd say experience kind of beat him more than anything, and he got tired. And then he was aimed high again at the Punchestown Festival. But he's a horse that won a maiden hurdle first time out, so he must have plenty of ability. It's probably not the strongest of handicaps for this time of year, but ground probably has a lot to do with that because it's still quite dry this side of the country anyway, for this time of the year. But I just clicked through because he's a lot of form, ties in closely with Jackson's Gold and that handicap in Fairyhouse. So just when I was flicking through, I thought Damalisk, when he won, I think he won in Navan 2 runs ago, I thought he was going to go on, stepped up and tripped the next time. He looked a bit slow actually. He was staying on, but he was never going to get the front 2. He'll be thereabouts for the Hearties, but I thought maybe Panda Boy. Have you got a price on him? Have you? Just out of interest.
Panda Boy, 14-1 for Martin Brazel.
Yeah, Dara O'Keefe on board. Dara's had a flying start to the season. I think he's leading jockey at the minute. Is he, boys? I think I heard on racing TV today. Yeah, I think he's leading the way. So look, he's kind of going to be number 1 in there with Brazel's because he's with the Ballymore setup. So he's some nice horses there, and Martin's horses is going well. I just can't think of the JP horse now. He won 5 in a row. I think he won a Wexford Derby the last day, did he? He's gone between hurdles and chases. So Martin's horses are in good form. So it's not going to take anything away. So he could be a good each way bet. I'm sure you're going to get 5 places on a race like that. So I take him at 14-1.
Interesting. Thomas Coyle, Irish Handicaps. Fishery Lane Hurdle, 1250. It's a grade 3. It's an interesting looking race there. We have the Fred Winter winner from last year. Davy Boland, you put him up at an enormous price. Have to credit you now. That's your opportunity. For the Fred Winter last year, he's a 2-1 chance for Noel Mead. Quilixios is slight favoured, at 7-4. Rachel and Henry. And Tiopu for Gordon, 3-1. Autumn Evening, 8-1 for Jesse. Voltan, 16-1. And Epic Song, 20-1 chance. Davy, what's your thoughts? Can Jeff Kidder kick off the season with a win?
Yeah, I think he's had 3 or 4 runs on the flat, hasn't he? Hasn't really gone to plan, I'd say, is what they thought. They would have imagined he would have picked one up during the summer. But this is a great race. Obviously, it's all about who's going to be fit or whatever. But look, they'll both be ready. Come from the Mead and the Bromhead stables. But I think it's a very interesting race because both were very impressive in Cheltenham. Very impressive, two of them, and you know, from a grade 1 and the other being only a handicap. You know, in the same sphere, obviously, as 4-year-olds. But then when they ran in Punchestown, but Quilixios' run was too bad to be true, I suppose. But Jeff Kidder, you know, he couldn't do anything wrong. He was good in Fairyhouse. He was busy. He won in Cheltenham. He went to Fairyhouse and won at Easter, and then he went on to Punchestown and winning the race where Quilixios was well back. So, but you know, I'll stick with him because, geez, the way he won the Triumph is a fair animal. You know, he'd have to just allow him that one bad run in Punchestown. So I'm going to stick with him, but it will be a very good race. I'd imagine it's between the two of them. Gordon's lad there, what do you call him again? Teapu or
Teapu, yeah.
Say, I wouldn't say he's up to these two now. But I'll go with the Bromheads lads. He was very impressed when he won the Triumph, you know.
Yeah, I'll just come in on, okay, well, no, I'll keep my mouth shut for a minute. Ronan Groome.
Jeff Kidder not being able to take care of a mark of 65 or 66 on the flat 3 times. He got 3 goals at it and he couldn't take care of it. Would slightly worry me now, I have to say. Just going back over hurdles, I wonder, are they kind of regretting running them 3 times in the flat during the summer and not keeping them a bit fresh to go back over hurdles? Now, maybe he's just one of those horses that is much better over hurdles, and there's been plenty of them down the years. So I guess we'll see. That's a question mark for me. As Davey said, more than happy to forgive Quilixios the run at Punchestown. All Henry's horses ran quite badly there, bar Honeysuckle, who probably did run beneath herself and still won. Teopo, now I'd give him more of a chance, maybe just on the question mark with Jeff Kidder, but he also he finished second to Jeff Kidder at Fairyhouse when he was odds on, and that looked like a bit of a disappointment at the time. But then Jeff Kidder went on to win Punchestown, and Teopo was giving Jeff Kidder £3 at Fairyhouse and receives £4 from him on Saturday. Now Jeff Kidder will be fit, but Gordon's won this race the last 2 years, so we could have Teopo ready to roll easily. So wouldn't discount him. And the other one I'd just give a quick mention to would be Jesse's horse, Autumn Evening. Now, obviously, Jesse Carrington has bigger fish to fry this weekend out in Delmar, but Autumn Evening won the Lartigue hurdle, so he'd be nice and fit from that, and he might be the horse to progress. He gets lots of weight from the top 3 in the betting there. But just going back to it, it's not a betting race for me, but I'd be disappointed now if Quilixios couldn't get himself back to winning ways and get the season off to a winning start, Barry.
Yeah, you mentioned one horse there that the lads, sorry, Davey, I don't think you mentioned Autumn Evening. I just find it interesting that he runs here, because did he have an entry in the Greatwood Hurdle? I was kind of thinking off his current mark. Now maybe he might have bigger fish to fry. I think the key to this horse is actually softer conditions. Autumn Evening. He was a horse that I liked in juvenile hurdles last year. He's quite a strong sort by Tammy Hughes, strong travelling horse. And I think he's certainly, out of all the horses in here, he's the one I'm most looking forward to progressing right throughout the season. So he's kind of wrong at the weights and ratings in here. So I find it interesting that he runs here. But my eyes will be on him. Look, he might be the one, as you said, Ron, to progress and actually go and win this. It is a competitive race. And I wouldn't, like yourself, I wouldn't be so quick to discount Teopo. He's the type of horse that I think maybe Nace might suit him. He's a kind of a big framed horse, and you know, maybe a stronger horse this year, Teopo. But
I think as well, boys, like Joseph's down the bottom as well. He's the highest rated of the flat. He's well ahead on ratings on the flat now. I know not many of them. Jeff Kidder, as you said, was beaten off 63. Jesse's horse is only 75. Joseph's has a rating of 91 on the flat. You give your 40 to 45 plus on that, and it's receiving £11 off the two top ones. So it puts him into the mix. If he does, look, he won a very ordinary maiden hurdle in Gorham Park. He was second to a horse of Gordon's in Navan before that. We Seek Him There, I think it was called. But look, he could be. He's an unknown in this sort of race because he's only had the two runs. But on ratings, he wouldn't have to improve a whole lot if the top two aren't on song, and he mightn't finish too far behind him now as well, and he could be one to go forward with. So he could be.
Just after mentioning everything, it's such a competitive race, to be fair. It's not the one that I'd be rushing in to have a bet in, lads, but I think Autumn Evening is an exciting horse for the season ahead. Big handicap in that one for sure. I think this winter. Poplar Chase, lads, worth a mention. Davy Boland.
It's like the local sports day open the mental hospital in Dundrum. This race is. Felix Jeski to run away.
You'll be at home up there, so
it's a hard problem. Darver Star can't jump. Jesus, it's a mad race. This is, but I do like Andy Dufresne. I've always had have had a soft spot for him, but I think he's better over further. I think if Felix Jeski can get his own way in front, I'd go with him. But Jesus, I wouldn't be having a bet in this race.
Ronan, you like Felix Deji, do you?
Yeah, right. Davies, if makes a good point. If he gets out in front in a race like this, he could be interesting, but no, I wouldn't really trust him. There's not a lot you could trust in this race. When you see Darver Star as short as the price he is, I think it kind of tells you the story. That said, Andy Dufresne has quite good form over this 2 mile kind of distance last season. He beat Embittered at Navan quite comfortably, and Embittered's turned into a quite nice horse. He was travelling well at Cheltenham when he came down. So out of all of them, if I was having guns ahead, I'd be back on Andy Dufresne. It's probably a watching brief for now, but I was surprised to see he's not favoured over Captain Guinness, who is obviously clear jump, has all the ability, but has a lot of question marks about his jumping. And Andy Dufresne is possibly the most interesting one going forward with the 2 mile kind of angle coming back to this sort of distance where he prospered earlier on. He ran okay behind Monkfish over 2.5 at the Dublin Racing Festival, but maybe he's just a better horse for 2 miles and he gets a chance to show it here.
I'm looking at Darver Star jumping off the page there. I missed the bloody second half of the Loud Soccer Derby tonight. Just checked the Betfair account, just got paid out on Dundalk, so they obviously scored in the second half. What a tune. What are we coming on to now, lads? Anything else to mention across the card? I suppose.
Mr. Incredible. I think he's a very exciting horse. He runs a Nace on Saturday for Henry de Bromhead. We mentioned this lad 2 weeks ago on the podcast. I think he's only had 3 runs, but this is a very exciting horse, and I think you'll be seeing him winning plenty this season.
Thomas Coyle.
I think Dermot McLaughlin's horse will be very hard bet in the novice handicap chase. Wawa absolutely bolted in Killarney. Doesn't look the greatest race on paper. That was his stable debut. Hadn't gotten that long, so the horse that finished second won a Mare's Beginner the other day. Today, She's Some Doll yesterday for Gavin Cromwell. I think 116. I'd say he could go up another good bit. He's top weight. Brian Cooper keeps the ride, but watch him. He won so easy. I think the actual Racing Post says he won the canter, which he literally did. So I think he'll take all the beating in the novice handicap.
Mr. Ronan Groome.
Yeah, I was going to mention Mr. Incredible as well. Very much looking forward to seeing him go. Just one more Nace in the maiden hurdle there. Good horse of Joseph's again called Eric Bludex. Pretty smart bumper horse last season, and I'll be looking forward to seeing how he gets on in the maiden hurdle there, which would probably be a good maiden hurdle, the 2 mile 3 furlong race. So that's another one to look out for. Good card Nace.
Probably the most good looking horse I've ever seen. That Eric Bludex. He is beautiful. He's not by Sarah Davy.
No. Hey, Barry, just to say, a horse called Bellator runs in the bumper on Saturday in Naas. I think she was bought for, she was over 300,000 anyway, at the Derby sale. She's a half sister to Altior. She's by Walk in the Park, trained by Gordon Elliott. So she's exciting. Keep an eye on her, I suppose, just because of the breeding and the money she cost. And Brian Hughes in the bumper in Kelso on Saturday.
As we're after throwing out horses right, left, and centre, I might as well throw a few into the mix here. Some of them will come across the Sunday. I'm just after opening up the tracker. Winhouse runs in the Mayor's Handicap at Wincanton at 225. She's also entered actually at Sandown on Sunday, but I think she could be well handicapped for Alan King. Winhouse. King also runs JBY. He's in one of my 35 horses to follow for the year. I've extended it this year. Put it up on Twitter. JBY, I think he's exciting for novice chasing. I think he'll win races this year. I'm looking forward to seeing him over a fence. He's at Sandown also. An Authorised Speed is in the bumper in Sandown on Sunday. He's entered up. Now, lads, look back at this horse. Gary Moore. I was reading, having a look at the stable tour, Gary Moore. He's quite excited by this horse and done everything wrong in a bumper in market raising, Raw's ropes. But you want to see the way this thing hit the line to finish second at market raising back in May. Davy's laughing, talking about market raising bumpers, but Authorised Speed, I think he could be a nice horse. He might go hurdling after this, but I'd expect him to go well on Sunday at Sandown at 3:45. Lads, best bets of the weekend. Mr. Ronan Groome.
Potterman, 3 o'clock, Wincanton on Saturday.
Next best.
Next best. Hogan's Height in the Grand Sefton. I think he can run that as well. 8-1, I think.
Davy Boland.
I'm going to go with Quilixios in the 1250 in Naas, and my next best in the 155 in Naas is a horse called Sweet Sting down the bottom of the weights. At a big price.
Tommy Coyle.
Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with Naas as well. I think Wawa wins that novice handicap. The more I look at it, I think she wins just looking at him. And I'm going to go against Davy. I think Panda Boy could be a good each way bet in that good handicap in Naas there.
Interesting. Maiden hurdle entered on Sunday. Olly Murphy's Bombs Away. I think this horse might be a nice type. Owned by the Magners. So that's the 135 at Sandown. That's my best bet of the weekend. And next best, look, I'll chance Cobra de Mai. I think he could be well handicapped. Actually, you know what? I'm going to flip those around. I'm going to go best bet of the weekend, Cobra de Mai. I think he represents good value at 12-1 each way in the Badger Beers, and Bombs Away next best in the Maiden at Sandown at 1:35 on Sunday. Anything else to mention? Davy, what did you text me? Shan Blue, talk to me.
I thought it was barbaric.
I agree.
Honest to God, right? Don't get me wrong. He's rode a lot of winners. He's a very good rider. He's champion jockey. But fuck me. Just sit. Just sit. And this thing of the English as well, they're unbelievable. Oh, I was so unlucky. Don't get me wrong. Most important thing is jockey and horses are okay, right? Number one. But fuck. Just sit, Harry. like we don't have many. There's not courses here in Ireland where there's 4 fences in the home straight, right? It's different over there the way the tracks are, right? But Jesus Christ, the rest of them are bunched, right? They have no hope. Just sit. Just keep sitting. No, I don't know. I
totally
surely
agree. If an Irish jockey done that here, he'd be
Oh,
slated. He'd be he wouldn't get out of the race
They
course.
would.
He wouldn't get out of the race
Chopped up
course.
around the back.
He'd be taken out the back and flogged.
Yeah. Oh, he would.
Chopped up he would be.
He'd be like Ronan Groome in the hilltop.
Jesus Christ. I wouldn't wish that on anyone.
What did you think, Barry?
I didn't see it live for starters.
But you watched it.
I watched it.
Well then.
We done the same thing, didn't he? Not on the same horse in Cheltenham last year. I never seen him.
Yeah.
I never seen absolutely mental stuff. Yeah, but I still think the horse would have went away and won by half the track. To be honest with you, if you didn't. Do you not agree? Am I wrong?
Yeah, of course he would have. But
Yeah.
But is there any need to keep putting him on his head the whole time? Just keep sitting and let him pop the last 3 home then, if that's the case. He's going to win. He's still going to win.
Yeah, there's no. You might as well win 3 lengths than 30 lengths. Like,
Oh,
do you know?
God.
Totally agree. Yeah.
What would we do with him?
Do you know what? They can do what they want. And this isn't the first time, like, you know.
Yeah.
It's not the first time, and do you know what? That's why. No, look, we'll leave it at that. I won't say the rest.
We'll leave it at that, lads. I'm going to the cot. It was a late one. That concludes episode number 2 of the Champ.ie podcast for the season. Have I given Vince a run for his money? Is he getting back into this hot seat? Time will tell.
Oh, we'll take Vincey Boy back next week.
Competition for places. What you like to see, lads. Best of luck punting over the weekend. It was a pleasure having you guys on again. And we'll see you next week. What's next week on the calendar, Ronan Groome? Remind me.
Oh, geez, it's the
Cheltenham.
week before Cheltenham, isn't it?
Cheltenham.
It's not Cheltenham. No, Cheltenham's 2 weeks, isn't it?
Punchestown.
And we are organising the lives, which will be good for Davy's interaction and slating jockeys. So we'll see you next Thursday. Tune in next week, folks.